Hey, good afternoon. I'm Heather Sullivan. Welcome to Sullivan Smart Sense. Thanks so much for being with us today. I am so excited to have the conversation that we are about to have because we are going to tackle what I know so many people are kind of getting hit with right now. We are seeing every day more and more announcements about people being laid off as so many businesses are reacting to high inflation in the economy. We are hearing about a lot of layoffs, and of course, we are expecting more layoffs to come. But today, we're going to talk about relaunching your career. We're going to give you hope if you're feeling a little down, maybe. We're going to give you some pointers on how to really set some goals and reach those goals, and maybe use this as an opportunity to set your career in a whole new direction. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Natasha Graziano, who is a mindset coach. Natasha, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here today.
Wonderful. And I want to show folks, by the way, this is her book. It's called Be It Until You Become It. What a great title. So first, just tell me a little bit about your book.
Be It Till You Become It is the part where ancient wisdom and neuroscience meet. It's that point where you understand how to become who you want to be before you get there. How you step into the version of you in your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions before you even become them, before you have the money in the bank, before you get the job of your dreams, before you get married. It's how to become it today.
I love that. I love that. And can you tell us just a little bit about your background and how you became a mindset coach?
Absolutely. So a few years ago, went through a very dark period in my life. And actually, that's where the new Natasha was born from. I didn't realize that I had to go through such trials in my life. I was at rock bottom. I found myself with no money. I was a single mom. I was so embarrassed of who I'd become. I was overcoming a drug addiction. I was in such a pickle. I was in such a dark place, but it was from that place that I started writing. I decided that I'd been journaling, but I didn't want to journal anymore. I didn't want to face my own reality at the time, which was depressing, that I was this mother who was really unable to be a role model to her son. And all I wanted to be was be a role model to my son and someone else in the world. And I was overcoming this hypothyroidism, which is an autoimmune disease. But it was from that place of darkness, from that place of feeling so stuck and like the world was against me, that the new me was reborn through writing, through deciding to create a new character. I became the script writer, and I wrote my new movie and I wrote my script. I didn't literally write a movie, by the way. I just wrote the new story about Natasha's life.
Oh, what a great idea. I love that. Well, I hope we're going to help a lot of people write their own movies today. And I want to let our viewers know we are live. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask Natasha, just write them below and we will answer them while we're here having our live conversation. We're going to talk about, being laid off today. So first, let's talk a little bit about, it's something that people dread. It's such a difficult thing to go through. It's stressful. So first, let's just talk about how people can help to avoid feeling down or depressed if they are facing a layoff.
It's so natural to go into that downward spiral. You see, once we have bad news hit, once something really shatters our reality, it shatters our ego, and it's very easy to go in the downward spiral. The trick is to say, okay, let me face facts. This has happened and I acknowledge it. Number one. Number two, how can I better that worst case scenario? How can I make what I've been through better today? How can I get through this? And so you start to look at options. Well, I can look for a new job. I can make some time for me that I didn't have before in this interim period. And I can go on an upward spiral instead of downward and start looking around me for things that I love to do, hang out with people I like to be around, people who elevate me, and start changing your outer reality. It's really the universe saying, hey, you've got to wake up and smell the coffee. We want to help you look at yourself in a new way. And so the layoff is actually happening for you, not against you.
Yeah. And so let's talk about, because you talk about the idea of writing down your goals. So let's help people kind of go through the process of what they should be writing down, how to set those goals, what kind of details they need to be putting down on paper.
So when you're writing your goals, most people think you've got to do it in the present tense, like I am, or today I will, future tense. In fact, no, that's where we go wrong. Science has shown that when we write it down in the past tense, we write it as though the goal has already been achieved, we are more likely to achieve it. So what we do is we write down, I got the job of my dreams. I got the promotion after all. I found my dream job and I got to spend so much more time with my family and I got a bigger pay rise. This layoff happened for a reason. You write down in the past tense what it is you want to achieve. And it can be as simple as anything I just went through. But the trick here is to add in as much detail as possible. So use all your five senses. What did it feel like when you got that new job? What did it feel like now you've achieved any one of those new goals? What did it feel like? So it felt amazing. I was so happy. I could smell the roses around me that I was sent as a gift from my friend to say congratulations. You've got to bring in your five senses. Where are you when you get that news that you got that new goal achieved? When you got that new job, when you met that dream partner, where were you? So you write about it in the past tense.
That is such an interesting idea. I've always been someone who writes down goals, but I've always written them as something that I'm working towards in the future. I've never done it where I've achieved it. And I love that to help create that visualization. It makes me remember the story of Jim Carrey, who said that he wrote out I think it was like $1 million check to himself. And that was like a visualization of something happening.
It was so cool. He wrote down a check for 10 million for acting services rendered. And what was amazing was about that, he wrote it down as though it had happened. And then 10 years later, on the date where it said received by, he got it to a T, the exact amount. It was a phenomenal story. There's actually science behind it as well. In the Harvard Business Review, Oettingen in 2014, there's an article on positive thinking, says that if you write down your goals in the past tense, you are more likely to attain them. It's really science that backs it. And I love it because when we get visual, when we use our senses, when we get really involved with the fact that we are achieving this goal, we are so more likely to achieve it than just saying, one day I will be an astronaut, or one day I will do this. It's wishful thinking. There's a gap between the life you're living now and where you want to be. So when you write it down in the past tense and you truly start to believe it, it doesn't matter whether it's real or not. It's whether you believe it.
That is so cool. I've learned something already. That's going to change the way I write down my goals moving forward. You talk about using this time when you're laid off to make sure that you are reaching out to a lot of people every day and applying for a lot of jobs. Talk to me about how many jobs do you think people should be applying for?
So I always say to people, apply for 50 jobs a day. That's 18,250 jobs a year. Sweetie, you got the job. You got a job in there. There's no way you're going to apply for 18,250 jobs and not get one. Even if you just did 3 a day, 3 applications to key specific roles that you want, that's 1,095 a year. So it's up to you how small or big you want to go. 3 jobs a day, it's over 1,000 you will have applied for a year, or go for the bigger mark of 18,000. But whatever you do, take small steps towards that goal of getting that new job. I remember when I didn't have a good situation, when I had no job, I would reach out to brands. I had no money in the bank. I was in debt. But from that place, I thought, no one else is going to do this for me. Nobody else is going to create this life for me. Nobody is going to feed me the money that I need. So I'm going to take responsibility for my life and go out there and fight harder than ever and be better and be the best so that people want to employ me.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit about how people can also utilize their downtime in between the jobs to work on self-development.
It's interesting. We only start to look within when we go through times like this, when layoffs are happening, when we're in a dark phase in our life. We are forced to look inward, which means that we actually have more time for ourselves. Mindfulness breaks are also scientifically proven to help you with productivity, focus, have a better mental health position. It helps you to feel better. So you can take self-development breaks throughout your day and spend time on you. Think about what you're ingesting. What are you listening to today? What are you reading today? What are you feeding your mind? When you watch TV, are you watching something like this today that inspires you? This is feeding your subconscious mind great knowledge. It's feeding you something that will help you to be more inspired and go out there and make better decisions later on in your day and your week. You want to be inspired by what you're listening to, what you're ingesting. Self-development for you could be the reading or perhaps walking in nature. Meditation, take up a practice which helps you to experience another side of life, the calmness of life away from the chaos.
Well, and you mentioned meditation. I wanted to ask you what your advice would be to someone, because I think a lot of people are intimidated by the idea of meditation, but really it can be, simpler than people realize. But how would you advise someone to try meditating that maybe they haven't tried it before?
Meditation is so powerful once you tap into it. I was really skeptical at first. I thought, why, is there dopamine attached? What is it? Is it this woo-woo thing? Actually, no, it's used in mental health clinics. It's used by psychologists, psychiatrists. It's practiced by monks and all the way up. So anybody can do this. It helps you in phenomenal ways. There is so much science behind it. Don't take it from me. Go online, have a look for yourself. There's so much science behind why meditation is beneficial. But if you're first getting into it, my personal advice of what I did, which has worked for so many of my clients today, is to do a guided meditation, a really short 11-minute, 10-minute is the sweet spot guided meditation where you listen to somebody guiding you whose voice you love, whether it's a male, female, whatever, and you just listen to that voice and you become calm by listening to it, and you do the breath work that follows. When we breathe and we slow down the breath, we go into an altered state of consciousness. We go from here in beta into alpha and then theta, which is where the magic is. We want to go through these spaces where our brainwaves slow down and our mind is more impressionable and we can relax. It calms the nervous system. We go into the parasympathetic nervous system, and the benefits are profound, not just for the mental health, but for the physical body.
Yeah, and I think it's such a great tool. It can help to, sort of people set their day on a great note to start with, or maybe if they are having a stressful moment to take a moment to kind of recharge their batteries.
Absolutely. And it's a great way to recharge. It's a great way to just plug back in, like you plug in your phone every night. You put it into the charger so it charges, hopefully, overnight. So the same with us. Plug in to that source energy, the socket, where you're going to recharge. I meditate every morning for 11 minutes and every night when I can. I'm human, so we obviously don't do things every day, even if we want to. So maybe 3 to 4 times a week. But every morning, I try and start my day with a meditation. Before I take my son to school, before the weekend begins, I do that meditation. I have my app where we have tons of meditations on there, which are really amazing. And people are having great breakthroughs because they're able to find a meditation for love, a meditation for health, a meditation for finding a new job, a meditation for focus, all these different styles of meditation you can find anywhere really online, but to benefit you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about maybe what your advice would be. I think a lot of people find a layoff so stressful, obviously, because you don't have the income coming in, and that just adds to that stress, and maybe it hinders their ability to still think in terms of their broader goals and what they'd like to do. Do you have some advice for folks, especially right now? They're dealing with such high inflation, and that's why I think a layoff can be so scary. How to kind of wrap their brain around that and still move forward through that stress.
The stress can be overwhelming. So you want to start creating a new routine for yourself in that time when you used to fill it with work. So you want to still get up, you want to still go for that run, you want to act as though you already have the new job or you still have one in place. If you start to get lazy, procrastinate, it's so easy. I was in that place once where you feel like you have nothing and the money on top of it, the stress can be hard, but don't focus on that because attention goes where energy is. So if your energy is focusing on the negatives and the lack of having the job, that's where your mind will spend its time ruminating and create other issues in your life. So you want to focus on, what can I do today towards getting a new job? What can I do that keeps me uplifted and motivated? Listen to an amazing podcast. Then write down your goals. Do scripting, like I was saying, in the past tense. Write down, by September 1st, I got the job of my dreams. Always put the date. We set it in time and space. September 1st, 2023. Set it in time and space. Say when you want to achieve that goal by. Really be clear with it, because otherwise your brain will find a way to push it to come into fruition 3-4 months later, but you needed it now. So manifest it. Start to say, by this date, I got this dream job, and now I work from home 4 days a week, or now I work in an office. If you want to work in an office, whatever it is, and this is the salary I received. The third point is to make sure that you still act as though you have this job. So go and take a break for lunch, then get back on your laptop and start looking for more roles. Create something for yourself. Maybe this is your moment to get that business out there in the world that you were so excited to do one day. Maybe now you're forced to go find a client. Go and find your very first client. It just takes one client to start your business.
I love all of that. I've always been someone who not only will I write down the goals, but I'll pull out a calendar and I sort of schedule all the things I have to do between now and then. So I like the idea of having a date that you're going to accomplish it by. It helps to kind of create that visual of the path from how you'll get there.
Absolutely. A clear roadmap. When I work with my one-to-one private clients, I tell them, what do you want to achieve? Most people don't even know what they want. It's this, a bit of that, all over the place. We all were at one point. The way to get success, how I've built becoming a best-selling author, speaking on stages alongside Mark Cuban, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, etc., is because I really put a structured roadmap in place. I created a roadmap to success, a blueprint, which is what I coach. So I reverse engineer it. I look at where I want to be and when. Okay, so let's say September 1st, I want to have that new job. Now I reverse engineer it. What did I do leading up to that? Well, I applied for 200 jobs. I did 50 interviews. I connected in my phone book, in my little black book, of everybody that I knew who could help me get to that next stage. Or maybe I created my own business. So I went out there and I started looking for clients, looking for the products, creating the website. I really got active. So what did you do leading up to that point? There is so much we can do. The part where we go, oh, you know what? It's not up to me. We point the finger and we say, it's your fault. But take a look at this. 1, 2, 3 fingers are pointing back at who? At me. Who's the problem? I am. We are in control of our reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we go, let me also ask you, because you talk about, go ahead and tell a friend, I guess, someone who's maybe going to hold you accountable for what you're working on, right?
Oh, it's so fun. So the tell a friend part when you do scripting is imagining you're picking up a phone and you're calling a friend. Hey, Hannah, guess what? I just achieved this. I just got the job of my dreams. I got an email today saying that they want to offer it to me. You pretend to have a phone call with the person you're sharing the news with, and that simply starts to get you activating parts of your brain that doesn't know whether or not it has happened or not, or whether it's imaginary. So it stores it as a memory, and then in your reality, it starts to be reflected and mirrored. Mirror neurons, it's a whole separate part of neuroscience, but you start to see events and people and places to mirror the reality of what you want. So pick up the phone, literally do this as soon as you finish watching our talk right now. Pick up the phone and pretend to call a friend and say, hey, you won't believe it, and celebrate that news as though you've already got the job. Celebrate it and watch how quickly you bring in a new reality.
Yeah, I love that. That is all so inspiring. I want to show all of our viewers, if you'd like to learn anything more about Natasha Graziano, that's her website there on the screen, natashagraziano.com. And Natasha, I can't thank you enough. This was such an uplifting conversation for me, and hopefully all of our viewers out there, especially anybody who's struggling with a layoff or just maybe looking at wanting to change their career. So I really appreciate you sharing all of your insights with us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I've had a fabulous time, and it's always my pleasure to connect with new people. And if anybody wants to connect further, they can also DM me on Instagram. So feel free. I love replying to people myself.
Awesome. Well, it was great to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. And thank you so much for being with us today. We will see you next time here on Sullivan Smart Sense. Just send those topics and questions that you have coming my way, and we will answer them as we meet here every Tuesday. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.